You can see behind me, you can see very clearly, this is the White House briefing room, and I'll just give you a basic look at it. If I can, you can recognize it.
Sure. Let's go to Dr. Corsi now in Washington. Welcome, Dr. Corsi.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about getting credentialed. We had a lot of people mocking us, as they always do every time we talk about the fact that the government is watching you through your monitor and listening to what you're doing. They mocked us for years, and now then we see pictures of Zuckerberg and others, and then we see the documents from the NSA. So this goes on and on. Earlier, I was talking to Daniel Estelin, who for years was part of the reporting about Bilderberg when they pretended that it didn't even exist. They kept it very secret. Now it's an open secret. And so in the same way, we were mocked when we said we're going to have a White House correspondent, and they mocked that. But now you're credentialed with the White House press corps. Is that correct?
Yes, today we got the first credentials, and be going on for a while with getting weekly credentials, and then in about 3 months, we'll be able to apply to get permanent credentials. We have to establish a daily presence here, and we're beginning to open up an office. We've rented an office in near Metro Center, and in the very first days, the building now will be a Washington bureau, where we plan to cover both the White House and Congress on a daily basis, and be able to broadcast and to provide live streaming as we're doing right now. We just finished a initial briefing on the budget, which is embargoed until 9 o'clock tonight, by the OMB director, Mulvaney, who will be testifying to Congress later this week, and got an initial preview of what the 2018 budget is going to look like. Next budget, 2017 budget, really, full budget coming up right now, the first year of the Obama administration. 2018 budget will begun to be worked on in September.
Now, there's been, you said that's embargoed, but there's been some trickling of that through the mainstream media. We've had Washington Post, AP, Bloomberg News have leaked out some stuff. Zero Hedge has reported that what they're saying is that they're looking at massive slashes in entitlement. They totaled some of this up, and they said it was $1.7 trillion in entitlement cuts, food stamp cuts by 25%. I would hope that he would do something like cutting that for immigrants, because there's no other country, except perhaps some of the European countries that have been taken over by this population redistribution thinking that is going through Western Europe and America. But any other country that you go to immigrate to, whether you're going to go to Belize or you're going to go to New Zealand or whatever, you have to have a means of support before they'll let you come into their country to live. And you have to have not only an income, but you also have to have a certain net worth before you can come in. And yet we put this magnet there telling people you can come to our country, you can get not only a free education, but you can get at the head of the line. You can get in-state tuition at any university, which even American citizens and their parents who have lived here all their lives, paid taxes all their lives, they can't get that, but we allowed that to be given to foreign students who come in. So that's, I think, one of the key things. Also in this budget, they're saying that there's going to be money for the wall. Is that what you have seen in the budget, or can you comment on that?
Well, I'm not going to violate the embargo, but I think you're seeing some initial reporting which will, be designed to scare those who are on various programs that they're not going to get their benefits going to be cut. There's going to be cuts. There's going to be a readjustment in how the money is allocated and how the money is spent. I think you'll see money in the budget for building a wall. I think all these elements, as I'm reviewing it, it's really going to be the first taxpayers' budget, where the Trump administration is asking the question of, as a taxpayer, is the money being wisely spent? I think there's going to be an increasing emphasis on getting people off of various government programs and getting them back to work, which was an endeavor that was last attempted when Newt Gingrich was in Congress, and the basic plan with America had been passed, one element of which was replacing welfare with workfare. I think there's going to be a number of elements in this budget which are attempting to balance the budget, which are going to go over a period of years, but are going to be dramatically different than the Obama administrations, which had increasing entitlement spending and increasing deficits, increasing debt, which doubled during the Obama administration. I think it's going to be a very fundamentally different approach. And
well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And of course, we've already, as these details are being rumored and leaked out by the Washington Post and others, we see, of course, the Democrats adopting a partisan line. First in line is going to be Chuck Schumer. But we also saw Mitch McConnell come out and say, well, we're going to have something to say about that as well, just like they said when there was a compromised agreement in the House in terms of Obamacare. The Senate says, well, we haven't even bothered to look at that. We're going to come up with our own thing. And as you've pointed out many, many times, they're funding Obamacare by stealing money from Freddie and Fannie. And, when we look at possible welfare reform, Dr. Corsi, as I said, if we get the immigrants first, have them take the first hit on entitlements, I think that'd be a great deal. We're losing the American dream, just as they're doing a net asset sweep out of the Fannie and Freddie investors. They're doing a net asset sweep out of American homeowners by opening up our borders and opening up our schools to however many people want to come in. We have absolutely no control of that. We're going to give them whatever they want in terms of education, and that education is going to be paid for by property taxes, and that's going to do a net asset sweep. It's going to sweep us right out of the American dream in order to fund education for foreign dreamers.
Well, and instead of getting into that, I don't want to begin violating the embargo. The main purpose of my coming on today was to make it clear. You can see behind me, you can see very clearly, this is the White House briefing room, and I'll just give you a basic look at it if I can. You can recognize it.
Sure.
It's tough with the iPad. But there you go. You can see the White House briefing room. It's really a very small facility. It's actually, like much of the White House, quite shocking in how small it is when you're actually in the White House. I've experienced that many times before. And very compact facility. But we're going to be here. We're going to be here on a regular basis. So you're going to be able to see reports coming out of INFOWARS. And I just wanted to make it clear by being physically present today that you can actually see we have gotten press credentials, and we are now in the White House briefing room, which you can see behind me, the logo and all the information that makes it clear. I'm standing right at the podium where press conferences are given. And that's really the point I wanted to emphasize today. Tomorrow we'll come back. We can talk more about the budget details. We can write about it because the embargo will be done.
Okay, so you're standing right now. Debate. You're standing right now about where Sean Spicer would be, right?
Where Spicer would be, right? Here's the podium right here. I mean, if you can see it, right behind you, there's the podium.
That's a Spicer's eye view of the White House press conference room right there.
With as poorly as I can do with an iPad to try to give you a basic view of it. So with that, I'd kind of like to sign off, and we're here. I think that makes clear we're going to get press credentials, and we'll do what we need to do to get here on a regular basis to get permanent press credentials.
Okay,